You're tuned in to the It's Real podcast with your hosts, Kayla and Andrew Yagi. Each week, we'll talk about what happens behind the scenes working full-time in real estate and share with you real-life stories, our successes and failures as we work to help consumers and industry professionals reach their real estate and real-life goals. Here we go.
It's episode 67 of the It's Real podcast. I'm Kayla Calendar, and I'm a mortgage lender.
I'm Andrew Yagi. I'm a real estate agent.
Hey, Andrew. How's it going?
It's cold, Kayla. It's very, very cold. I'm sitting here, my window, like I get kind of a northwesterly exposure, and it is chilly.
Is your roof shaking? Like, I feel like my walls and my windows are shaking.
No, I don't think we have that problem here, but it's cold.
Yeah, it's cold.
I play Baby It's Cold Outside, but that's not socially acceptable.
Yeah, apparently not, but other songs are. Don't get me started. But yeah, Baby, it is cold outside.
Right. Hey, good news. Spring's around the corner. I mean, obviously, I feel like January just flew by. And I think we talked about it, some people were just feeling overwhelmed in January. And I think this was probably my busiest January on record, not just with real estate and things going on in our business. It also helped that, we became an independent brokerage. We've been building a spec house, but just, family life and everything else. And then the school my girls go to, along with our church, they had a fire there. So we've been kind of helping out behind the scenes with all of that, trying to help them get back on their feet, temporary school, everything else. So January was a very, very busy month.
Yeah, I feel like there were like 111 days in January. I feel like it was long, but I did do dry January, which
how about that for you?
Fine. Like I think as I've gotten older, I just don't drink as much. And I mean, if I do, like, I'll have a glass of red wine, but I've talked to some friends and even industry professionals. They're like, I literally would have a glass of wine at dinner. They would tell me, like, they would have a drink every day. So I think for those people that have it like with dinner, it's hard. Or if it's like a big social thing. But for me, it was fine. It was good to go. I stayed busy and but on February 1st, I had a glass of red wine. So yeah.
I did a mostly dry January, except for the fact that we were down in Arizona. And I don't even know, have we even talked since I was back from Arizona?
No, Andy, I can't remember.
So we were went down to Mesa. My grandpa, Don Yagi, my dad, he turned
right?
90. Yeah,
Wow.
I feel like we did talk about this. I don't remember if we did or not, but if we did or if we didn't, I'm going to talk about it again. So he turned 90, so we were down seeing him and hanging out a little bit. So that was kind of the exception to the dry January.
Yeah, you gotta have fun. Was it just you and Katie that went, or did you bring the girls? Or
well, the girls stayed home, but we had a lot of family members that were down there that we met up with. So
got some warm weather.
Yeah, and it was just all in all a great January, a busy January. And speaking of busy, I mean, you said you felt like it was 111 days, but you've made some big changes in January and then kind of, went back the other way, Kayla.
I did. I made a bit of a switch. So I am back at First International Bank and Trust. And I actually visited my team in Sioux Falls. I've got, there's, probably, I want to say 30 mortgage employees down there. Maybe not that many, but my loan partner, assistant, my processor, my closer, like such great individuals. So got to spend time with them this week. But I've been back at the bank for about a week and back to lending in all 50 states, back with my team. And I'm really excited for what the rest of the year brings. So we've got some big, lofty goals, and we're excited to just get people in homes, educate them, and empower them per usual. So it's exciting.
I'm loving that. I'm glad you're back to where you belong to be. And, the rest of the details don't really matter in our history, but I think that's great. And I'm really excited that, we're going to be doing some business here, as I've kind of referred someone close to me to you. And so far, you've killed it, Kayla.
Oh, man. Thank you. It's one of those things where when you can get a deal together with people that like and trust, it's just, it trickles down to the clients, you know what I mean? And not just the buyers, but the sellers. And it's just so great to like work with people that and trust. So thank you, Andy, for trusting me, and let's get this one wrapped up. Let's do it.
Don't let me down, Kayla. You came out of the gate really good and fast. But no, I know it's going to be really good. And speaking of people, you're right. I had a phone call yesterday from a guy, and I didn't recognize the name that was given to me, but I called him up and was talking to him, and we're talking about his needs, his son's real estate needs, and he said, "You don't remember me, do you?" And I said, "I think I do. And I think you're so and so." And he worked for an area business, a service provider that we worked with. I said, "Is it you?" He said, "Yeah, it's me. And I believe you remembered me." And he actually had done some business with my mom and with some other relatives as well. So remember them was always a very personable individual. But you're right, when people come to you and they're like, "Hey, we see you're out there, you're doing a great job. We like you. We like the fact that we have a relationship with you.
Yeah.
You'll help us reach our goals." That's the best,
Mhm.
Kayla.
Well, and people just to know that you care. I just had a Zoom call with a couple that they're building in the area, and we've had many meetings. And they were like, "Thank you so much." And I had told them, I'm like, I couldn't sleep last night because I was thinking about ways that we could structure this to, save you money. And they kind of laughed. They're like, "Why are you like up at night?" And I'm like, because I care. Because at the end of the day, like this is really personal. It's a lot of emotions. It's a lot of money, a lot of time when you're building a new home. I mean, that's months and months and months of, decisions, and people just want to feel cared for. And I think sometimes in our industry, what's happened is, you get a couple bad apples, like in any industry, and it
Right.
just kind of sours it a little bit. And then when they get with people that really care and can't sleep at night, it's like, wow, like this is amazing. And then they're forever clients and they refer their friends and family. And that's what I love. That's the best part.
Right. I wish everybody cared as much as you did, Kayla, because I'm also coming off of and like I said, I'm excited to work with you on this upcoming transaction, but I'm also coming off of a transaction where I initially was working with a lender who did not care, and maybe it wasn't them personally as much, but worked for a large corporate bank, and I always cringe when someone says they want to work with a big corporate bank, especially when the individuals aren't here in the immediate area. Hey, I've got to pick up the phone and call someone in Texas or Arizona or whatever. Totally messed, the transaction up, and it was about 2 weeks before closing when they said, "Oh, we can't lend to you." Now, luckily, I found a great local lender, and this was something commercial. So I did, warn this client of mine that, hey, a lot of these banks don't have an appetite for purchases and properties like this in Fergus Falls, Minnesota. And I was warning you, it's probably not going to go well. And so when the client called me and was like, "Well, you told me so," I don't take joy in that, but I do take pride in the fact that, hey, I've got relationships, and hey, I've got 3 really good local lenders here. I know one of them is going to want this deal. And so one of the local lenders actually grabbed it and was able to get everything closed in like 10 days. So we didn't even miss our original closing date, which was really, really awesome. But again, it just goes back to what we always talk about, Kayla, relationships, and take advice from those of us who work in it every day, and use our relationships, use our connections, because we want to help people reach their goals.
Well, and we've seen the good, and we've seen the bad, and we've seen the indifferent. And I think that when we know that people are working with those that maybe we know it's not going to go the smoothest, we have like an obligation to share it. I know sometimes I had coffee with a realtor this morning, and she's like, "I feel like a lot of clients are coming to me pre-approved." And I said, "That's awesome. That's great news. People are doing their due diligence." But I said, if you ever feel like they're with someone and like Andy, you knew that lender maybe wasn't going to come through, and at the end of the day, it's not like you're pushing people just to push them. It's because you care and you want them to have a good experience, because at the end of the day, it's title, insurance, realtors, lenders, clients, the buyers, the sellers, and sometimes a domino effect. And when you care, like you feel like you have this duty to share with the person, "Here's my experience, take it as you wish." But I mean, that's just kind of how it goes.
Right. Absolutely. No, I
Mhm.
love it. I think that's some really good discussion. Kayla, I'm excited, not wanting to shift gears, but I've been kind of sharing with you that we've been building a spec house. So
Yes.
one of our goals is to, especially in our marketplace where we're probably over 300 homes behind in terms of, new builds that we should have that we just don't. It's
Mhm.
not like, like when I was up in the Fargo Moorhead area this last weekend showing properties to this client of mine, and you just look all over. It's like, okay, what builder do you want? There were so many
Mhm.
options, and hey, they're sitting. Like we've got nothing here, so it's been really fun, to build this spec house. I don't have interior pictures, so I'll have to share it next week. But and I
Ooh.
obviously showed you some various photos, but we're super excited for this house to hit the market this weekend. 1,380 square feet, 3 bed, 2 bath, 2 cell
Wow.
attached garage, slab house. It's it won't be a good fit for everybody, but we're going to find a buyer for it, and we're
Oh, yeah.
really excited, and just excited to kind of get more momentum going with
Mhm.
housing. And actually, I've had some really great meetings this week from some that are involved, countywide and locally with economic development. Our mayor was in my office yesterday, and we're just kind of brainstorming, like, hey,
Oh.
how can we get more of this going and
Mhm.
really go after a larger project? So I'm really excited to see where 2025 will go. I
Yeah.
honestly, at times, it feels a little bit overwhelming just kind of looking at just all of the opportunities that are there, but I'm really excited.
So how long has it taken you to build this spec home? How many months has it been?
Yeah, so just a hair over 4 months. We
Oh,
closed
okay.
on the lot the end of August, and then
Okay.
we started digging for utilities like September 28th. And so we're at like 130 days, 131 days today, I think. So,
Okay.
so we're
And are
doing
you
good.
gonna have any more? Like, are you gonna build more then in that area? Is that the plan?
Well, so this isn't like your average development like out
Mhm.
in Horace or West Fargo or whatever, where, hey, go take your pick of lots. This is an infill lot where there was a house that was tore down. And so
Mm.
we're kind of, revitalizing that site. And so we're kind of looking around, and I've got a couple different models I want to build this year just to kind of test them out.
Mhm.
Kind of my plumber HVAC guy on this project, he's like, this is beautiful. You could build 15 of these and they would sell. But
Wow.
we want to try a few different models and just kind of test out. Like this is right under the $300,000 mark.
Nice.
I want to try building something under the 200 mark. It'd be a smaller home with a 1 stall garage, 2 bed, 1 bath, a little bit cozier, but I think there's a market for it. I
For
think
sure.
there's a market for just about anything around here, and even in your marketplace too.
Yeah, and I think too, like, one of the things around here is when you build new, there's those special assessments, that come with it. And so even if you are building small, I mean, at least it's something to get you to a more comfortable point. But those special assessments, it seems like, because do you have special assessments at all?
Well, so I mean, there certainly are on some properties, not on this property at all. In fact, whoever buys this is going to get a $10,000 in tax abatement through the big bill tax credit our county
Perfect.
was
Yeah.
doing. So that's really awesome. But specials are pretty rare here, and that's going to be the challenge going forward is how to
Mhm.
get the infrastructure in and how to develop the property without having any specials. And so we're kind of navigating that. Luckily,
Mhm.
on the county level, they've got about a $500,000 matching grant program. And so we're just looking
Yeah.
and trying to identify some other funding sources because there are a couple what I'll call low hanging fruit opportunities, to go out and start lots that are platted, but we just need infrastructure and roads in.
Yeah.
And we
Right.
can start building, probably by, this fall in some of those areas.
Nice.
But
That's
so
awesome.
we'll see. It's time to kind of kick her
Yeah.
down and, you know, make
Yeah,
it
that's
great again
awesome.
or something.
Well, good for you. That's awesome. It looks great. I can't wait to see all the details. And when will you list it then? Like, when will this be available?
So it's listed as coming soon in the MLS right now. It's going to go live on Saturday, and we're doing open houses
Awesome.
Saturday and Sunday from noon to 2. So just kind
Okay.
of hopefully should have pictures by tomorrow, putting some finishing touches on in terms of cleaning and some trim work and just
Nice.
little loose ends.
Well, congrats. That's a huge achievement. So I'm sure it'll fly off the market.
I think it will. We'll stay tuned. I'll certainly be able to or keep you and everybody else updated.
Sounds good. If the person needs a lender, I can finance in Minnesota. Let me know.
I love it. I'll keep that in mind. Oh, speaking of lending, Kayla, I don't know that we've talked a whole lot about rates lately. So where are we with rates and what have we seen this year?
They've been pretty flat, pretty steady. A lot of people were curious, well, Trump's in office, what's going to change? And, there's going to be movement. And it's been pretty flat, right? Around 7% is the average. I had a client today, just based on their scenario, we were under 7. remember, I always share, you can always buy down the rate, you can always pay points. But, we're seeing it kind of hovering around that 7 range. And that's for a 30-year conventional fixed, 15 years, somewhere around 6.5, 6.625. And then we see our assistance programs from like 5.7 to 6.2, like kind of in that range. And again, I always tell people the Roots program there, you can be a repeat buyer and still get assistance in North Dakota. Still continues to be a very competitive product. I have a lot of people that, we're putting in North Dakota housing and they continue to have excellent rates and programs. So I think that when we look back in the last 2 years, there's a lot of people that said, I'm going to wait for rates to go down. I'm going to wait. And I totally get it. But when we look at this, where rates have been over 2 years and they haven't really changed, but the prices of homes have continued to go up and up. There's a lot of people that I feel like have had a little bit of regret. They're like, gosh, I wish I would have bought. But, my girlfriend said to me yesterday, she's like, I know I'm going to say right now, I should have bought or done this 5 years ago. So in 5 years, I'm going to say it now. And I think we just have to realize, like, when clients are ready to buy, they're ready to buy. They're not ready to buy. Like, we have to respect that, and we do. But we also need to educate our clients on what is the cost of waiting and what does it look like. The clients that I talked to today, we talked about how much appreciation are you going to see per year on this $1 million home you're building? And what can you do with that? And how does that work? So for me, it's just education. And, rates are going to be rates. And do you want to buy or do you want to rent? Like, really, it comes down to that. But overall, we're just seeing a steady pace around that 7 range.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and again, I think people they're coming to terms with that, and obviously affordability is the biggest problem. And that's interesting, when you're talking about appreciation and the like, just because, again, people take for granted. And I even look at, as I'm pricing homes for people and putting market analysis together, I'm having a lot of conversations with people that are looking to sell and just kind of like, hey, what's my home worth? And it is shocking, sometimes, like, what homes are selling for relative to, what they went for when they purchased them, a decade or so ago. Or even I just sold a house a couple of years ago for a couple, and it's now back on the market again, and just how much more that is getting for it, which is a testament to our low inventory.
Yeah.
And so, we can be really grateful for that appreciation, although that's not the case in every market, Kayla. In fact, there are some markets that are starting to correct. And, I've seen a little bit more of this floating around on social media. And, just the fact that the housing market has cooled off since, the pandemic, the pandemic push, I'll call it. Obviously, there was such a ridiculous demand, and that's cooling off. So markets like New Orleans down almost 5%, predicted to decline about 3.8% this year alone. San Francisco, has gone up a little bit. It's appreciated, but predicted to go down. Austin, Texas, I know there are a lot of people that talk about Austin. That market declining as well. Do you think we'll see a decline, in our markets at all, or what's your prediction?
Oh gosh, that's tough. I still think that, we get a lot of heat. Like, people are like, no pun intended, but like, why do you live in North Dakota? It's so cold. Like, what do you do there? I'll travel to conferences, or I'll have friends and other lenders in other states, and they're like, holy cow, it's 20 below. What are you doing? But then when we see, like, the cost of living and the kindness and, like, that, just in general, how it is up here and family and close knit, like, I wonder if we will see people move here. I even wondered after the California fires. I'm like, there's a lot of remote work that we tend to see. I know some are going back to in office, but it makes me wonder, will, people flock here for the safety, for the, it's cold, but I don't know what will happen in terms of the desire, in terms of inventory. Gosh, I don't know. It's kind of like a crystal ball effect. I can't put my finger on it. What about you? Do you have any thoughts on it?
I think that, we're going to see, again, my market is such an outlier.
Right. Yeah.
Inventory, but I've been reading some articles too that talk about, we're going to have a more normal level of inventory inventory again, and we don't really know what normal is just because it's been so long, like 2020 and on. I mean, things really heated up, and there's been just such a demand, for housing. I mean, it's it's kind of crazy, but there's an article that Inman had just put out, Kayla, that talked about inventories are on track to normalize in 40% of the U.S. market. So after growing by 22% last year, inventory is at a bright spot for a market that's been dealing with deep deficits. So we're going to see a lot of normalization, especially in the states that are a little bit more blue. The states that are black are not going to be normalized till 2027 or later. So even, the closest spot to us, the Twin Cities, it's going to take a little bit. And they just note here that the Midwest and Northeast are noticeable outliers with much deeper deficits remaining and slower rates of improvement, as most markets in those regions are not on pace. Home appreciation, we know it's slowed to about 3.4% last year, the slowest growth since 2011.
Wow.
Which is kind of interesting as well. So it's no surprise to see 18 of the 20 strongest housing markets from a price growth perspective located in inventory-starved portions of the Midwest and Northeast. And again, I think that goes hand in hand with what we see again. You not so much in Fargo, me, greatly where I'm at, but just looking across here as well, and this goes hand in hand with the other article, like down into Texas, the Austin market and others down 1.5% to 3%. We know Florida is going to be pretty hard hit with all of the storms, hard to get insurance. I think a lot of investors, Kayla, are dumping homes, just because they're finding out that, hey, this isn't a good investment with insurance and everything like that. My parents are down in Arizona right now. I was talking to my dad the other day, and they were visiting with some acquaintances of some friends of theirs, and they are from Canada, and they were getting really spooked by Donald Trump and all of the tariffs and everything. And they're like, you know what, we're going to stay here till April, but we're dumping this place. We're out of here. We're getting out. It's kind of interesting to see what, some of the political hysteria does, which also, my biggest concern, especially as we look at building homes as well, is what our material price is going to look like.
It's tough to tell. And I think too, like I've seen that too. It's like, it's like there's like hysteria and fear, and I mean, people leaving the country, people, some flocking to, but I mean, I have clients down in Florida that bought last May an investment property, and they purchased it. It wasn't anything extravagant. It was a very like normal sized property condo, and they got a really great insurance check, and they got to remodel it. And I think they're going to be in a better situation than before because they got to redo it, and I think that they're going to benefit from it. So I don't know that everyone's going to have that experience, but for them, they were really like, they're like, it actually worked out. So it's just interesting to see what will happen. That they're dumping it, but they're like taking advantage of it. I mean, different states, but still.
Right.
Yeah. It'll be
Well,
interesting.
It will be an interesting year. I'm optimistic. I think there's going to be a fair amount of activity this year. Again, I think there's a lot of pent-up demand, a lot of people that are, looking to buy who maybe haven't, other people that, hey, we're looking to get on with our lives or move up. I think that we're going to see some good activity, especially for those of us, Kayla, that treat people well and, take the time to actually work with them and explain things and be a resource as they're working to reach their goals.
And I think that that's just all it takes. Is there's so much fear, like you said, people, the hysteria and fear, and I hear this and I shouldn't buy. It's like, to me, when I see that fear in someone, the best part about the end of my conversation is just to see them relax and be like, oh, okay, I didn't know that. I didn't know that's where rates were. I didn't know I could get that. I didn't know I qualified for that. I thought because of this. And it's like, just take the time to talk through it, and at least and feel better. So
right on. Conversations generally are free, right, Kayla?
Yeah. I mean, I don't charge people for conversations. So
Well, I love it. Well, Kayla, I think that puts a wrap on episode 67. As always, great connecting, and please continue to take good care of my clients that I referred to you.
I sure will. Thanks for sending. Keep them coming.
All right. Have a great week.
Bye, Andy.
Bye.